I'd also like to welcome the gentleman from Texas who is the chairman of the Health Subcommittee on the Ways and Means Committee. Mr. Brady, you have a question?
Yes, Chairman Reichert, thanks very much for letting me join you today, and I want to applaud the leadership of Senator Williams, my state senator, for his leadership not only in chairing the Senate Finance Committee in Texas, but leadership on finding innovative ways to get people back to work. Today, there's literally tens of millions of Americans who can't find a full-time job. There's millions more who've simply given up looking for work altogether. Yet we have jobs going unfilled in energy, in building trades, in transportation, others simply because the applicants cannot pass a drug test. Last year at this time, Republicans, Democrats, and the White House came together and agreed it was time to find some solutions to get people job ready, those who are on unemployment today. And we together, in a bipartisan way, created a process where states could raise their hand and show us in demonstration projects and pilot programs exactly how we connect those who don't have a job with good paying jobs that are available today. Yet here we are, more than a year later, no waivers have been granted because no applications have been submitted under a round that has created a very burdensome, very complex process that in fact won't work. So my question to Senator Williams and then to Mr. Hobby is, if we can convince Department of Labor to do their job, to follow the laws written in the intent, to go back to the drawing board, coming up with the process that encourages states to step forward. Senator Williams, in your view, for Texas, which has already been recognized as having innovative programs and getting people connecting local people to local jobs, if Department of Labor can get it right, is Texas still willing to raise their hand and implement a pilot program to help show us the way?
Yes, sir, we are. And I would point out that when we rolled out this back-to-work program, our lieutenant governor traveled to 18 cities around the state promoting our back-to-work program. And so this is something that all of us in the legislature, from our leadership to the membership, take very seriously. And removing those impediments and hurdles that we have would make a big difference in what we were able to do. I'd also point out that I think there's some technical changes that need to be made. I think one thing that hasn't been touched on here about your program integrity is the sample size that you're using to test unemployment benefits for overpayment is set by the Department of Labor at 480. Now, what does that mean? In Rhode Island, they sample 480 people. In South Dakota, who doesn't have as many people as live in my Senate district, they sample 480 people. And in Texas, with 25 million people, they sample 480 million people. And so there are others, Mr. Temple and others, who could go into a lot of the details about what the Labor Department considers best practices that are also just a way to scratch the list off and check the box and say we don't have overpayments by looking the other way. And so I think there's not only a need for waivers, but there's a need for the department to recognize that states are the best ones to implement these programs and to give us the flexibility to monitor them and make sure that they're working appropriately.
Senator, thank you very much. Mr. Hobby, we're sort of given the impression up here that states weren't interested in stepping forward to help us solve this problem, connect these workers with jobs, and that today, a year later, states generally aren't all that interested. Do you think that's the case, or do you think states need the right application process so that they can indicate their interest? Is the interest still there?
Mr. Brady, yes, the interest is there. States generally would like more flexibility from the federal government in implementing these demonstration programs. not only from the Department of Labor, but also under the law. And earlier I mentioned some changes that could be made, I think, to the current law, which would make it more flexible for states such as Texas to operate the kind of demonstration programs they've had in the past. So in general, I would say our members are interested. They want more flexibility, but they also recognize the federal government wants accountability. With respect to accountability, the law requires a sophisticated evaluation of the demonstration programs. It would be very helpful if the federal government would provide funding for those evaluations rather than having it come out of the Unemployment Trust Fund or from state administrative costs.
Well, I appreciate all the witnesses. And again, Chairman, you're holding this hearing because we want those who are unemployed to be job ready on day one. And key to that are the growing number of jobs, the required drug screening and drug testing, good paying jobs. So thank you for continuing to shine a light on this problem.